last question, why, in your personal opinion, professional, as you've been a coach doing this, do you think that the biggest hurdle and most often the last hump that people have to get over when it comes to success, fulfilling their purpose, etc., is ourselves? Why are we our own worst enemy more often than not? Why do you think so?
Oh my goodness.
Savannah, is this the part 2 we need?
That is like the gold mine of all questions. I love it. There's so much there. My goodness. So
I'm sorry, I was pretty too much pressure.
You're getting me all excited.
Hello, beautiful people. My name is Savannah Bernarda. I go by Savvy C, and welcome back to Savvy C Scoop. Today's video is a conversation that I had with Hannah Maria Barris, and I'm so excited to share it with all of you. Hannah is a mindset coach and an entrepreneur, and together we talk about all things fear of failure and failure of success. Talk about procrastination, talk about self-sabotage, and just how we are often the biggest barrier and the last barrier that we have to overcome to really fulfill our purpose and hit and achieve true success. And wow, we get deep, talk about so many things. She's a wealth of knowledge, and I'm really able to just pick her brain on some things. And there will be hopefully a part 2 because there's so much more we could have covered. She was a joy to speak with, and I'm really thankful for her time. For more information on Hannah, what she does, her services, scroll down to the description box below, check those out, especially too, if you're on TikTok, if you're on Instagram at all, and if you're a fellow American, you like things like NPR, radio, podcast, she has like the best soothing voice. So just like play those, go through a playlist here or there, get some nuggets of wisdom and some gems that she drops so effortlessly and free, might I add, for all of us to enjoy. So without further ado, here's the video. I'm about to share with you guys the conversation. But first, before we get into it, as always, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more, follow Hannah's page as well, follow along what she's doing and see her great content. And of course, comment down below, keep the conversation going. And maybe if there's a part 2 for this, let me know what topics of conversation you'd like for us to talk about next. All right, let's step out that box. Let me stop talking, and let's turn it over to Hannah.
Thank you so much, and likewise. So my name is Hannah. I am Hannah Maria Barris. I am a coach. I'm a mindset coach, and I am also a startup entrepreneur. I am so happy to be here today. Something that I specialize in with my mindset coaching programs is self-sabotage, procrastination, the fear of success, and all of that good stuff. So it's something that I really enjoy talking about, and coming up with ways that people can stop and improve their mindset.
Absolutely, and perfect. Yes, I'm so glad you brought all of that up, and we're gonna get into that further. So I'm excited to pick your brain about your specialty and what you do best. So first, just to start, you mentioned it earlier, but your formal, title, if you will, and what I see in your bios on social media is mindset coach. So can you just define that word for me and how you came to identifying as one?
Definitely, that's a great question. So the way that I define a mindset coach is someone who is there to hold your hand as you go through big life changes, or just through your everyday life to help you improve your state of being, both mentally and mind, body, spirit, and to help you take little areas of your life where you want to improve and actually improve upon those, and to get lasting results that are both internal and external.
Nice. And I feel like that's the best way to, right? Work inwards, and it shows up outwards, and you can move on from there.
Yes, truly.
So what led you into this work? How do you have like a specific aha moment? Were you like this from like, were you like a 3-year-old on the playground, like coaching your friends, like you can break out of this, like you could do the monkey bars, like what brought you to this career line?
Yes. Yes, in a way, it's funny because I had, in a way, been coaching people my whole life. It's just all a lot of the areas that I just would naturally gravitate to, like self-development and constantly improving ourselves. And I always love to motivate other people and help other people and provide guidance. And, so my mom was actually the first one to say something to me a long time ago before I knew what coaching was. And she's like, you'd be a great coach. Like, what is that? I'm like, okay, mom. I just didn't know what that was, right? A long time ago, but then we came full circle because I started to hire my own coaches. It kind of started with just, business coaching. And then I actually started to see more results in my own life through mindset coaching as opposed to business coaching. And, and I wanted to go on my own and be an entrepreneur and leave my leave the corporate lifestyle and go be on my own. And I said, this is something I want to do. And that's where it all began.
Nice. Okay, great. So nice. It's great that, it was in you. Shouts to moms for in you, as mothers do so well. They sprinkle their gems of wisdom, and you brought it to pass, brought it to fruition.
Yes.
You just touched on it briefly, and that was going to be my next question. So perfect segue. What was the transition from startup? I saw you had like a background in tech with like SpaceX. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Working in that to now what you do. What was that transition like and evolution over time?
Yes, it's interesting because I had always known that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to be involved in tech. Well, at first, I just wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I wasn't sure that I could be involved in tech because I didn't have the technical skills. I'm not a coder. My brother always was, so I'd always encourage him.
Okay, maybe get it by proxy.
Yes, right, exactly. And so I would always say to him, like, Nicholas, that's my brother. You should work at a startup and start your own company and be an entrepreneur, and you should, do all these things because that's what he does computer science, and that's what he does for a living. And then, one day he just got fed up. He's my younger brother, and he's like, Hannah, if you want to do all this, then maybe you should do this yourself. If you want this so badly for me, maybe it's what you really want. And I actually took his words to heart. Like, oh, actually, wait a second. I think you're right. So that's where the transition led to me kind of figuring out, okay, where could I be involved in tech? What skills do I have that I could currently be involved in it? And how could I be an entrepreneur? And so I kind of went into corporate knowing that at some point I would leave and become an entrepreneur. I wasn't expecting to leave so soon.
But how long was that duration for? Okay, so soon.
Yes. So it was I think it was about a year and a half that I left. And yes, I was expecting to spend years there, but I finally felt ready. Like, it was the time. I was inspired by the Great Resignation and other people who I saw doing this. And I said, you know what, let's just go for it.
Nice. Okay, great. Because that was actually, I'll circle back to that topic now. Then I was going to ask, how did the pandemic affect you and your line of work and bringing into what you do now? So you kind of just touched on it. So you kind of saw the writing on the walls. You noticed me after meeting the numbers were getting fewer and fewer, yes. I guess, and you went for it. So how was that jump?
Yes, so I really don't think that I would have left so soon if were it not for all of the people that I was seeing leaving their jobs. And, I felt inspired by their courage. And I kind of thought, why am I just holding off to live the life that I actually want to be living? Like, this is my dream. Why would I hold off another second? And I mean, but that being said, of course, like there are things to take into account, like
Yeah.
you know, finances. I have to save up enough money to actually do this because there's a lot of risk that we're taking on as entrepreneurs. So that is something that I kind of kept in mind, and that led me to and then finally, when I felt comfortable, I said, okay, it's time. I'm not sure if I answered your question, actually.
No, no, you did. Yeah, just like the duration of it, and like when you took that leap and when you knew it was time to take that leap. So yeah, okay. You started, yeah.
Okay, great. Good.
And it's just then back to what I was gonna initially ask for. You brought up the Great Resignation. That's what triggered it in my mind. I always think that the best coaches are those who've gotten through it themselves and know what they did and didn't have going through their process. And so I really love that about you. And I can really tell, like, cause no shade to those, you know, others, but you know, you see these like gurus and coaches on social media and stuff, and it's just like, actually, you know, no, I don't want you to say anything. I won't get you in trouble on your industry and your people, but I can say it as a third party. But you know, you just see stuff and it's just like, I don't know if that's quite accurate, the truth, but you can definitely tell with your content and what you do. And it's great to hear that your journey to that. So transitioning now over into your coaching and what you do. You mentioned earlier about your niches and what you specialize in, of being like self-sabotage, procrastination, and fear of success, you know, which is, you know, kind of a contradiction, but I want you to break down in a second. But to start off with self-sabotage, obviously, when you hear that word, a lot comes to mind, and it's, you know, a really hard thing to maybe define. But if you can, for us, in the most simplest of ways, if it's possible, just define self-sabotage.
Yes, absolutely. So the way that I define self-sabotage is when we prevent ourselves or stop ourselves from going either to the next level or achieving something because we're afraid of what will happen when we actually pursue that thing. Usually we're avoiding some kind of an emotion or a certain event from occurring. And self-sabotage can happen with both fear of success and fear of failure. I think that, you know, and it manifests in different ways, but yes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, yes. Perfect. Absolutely. Great. And then transitioning from that, so defining it, which I think is a great definition. How can one identify self-sabotaging behaviors or just, you know, the act of it?
Yes. So great question. And I'm trying to be as concise as possible here because
no, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah, I know this is really generalized on things. So yeah,
right. I'm like, okay, put a period here. So yes. So I think when we know we're self-sabotaging when you notice that this cycle of you know, preventing yourself from being as successful as you could be, when you're preventing yourself from getting to that next level, and it becomes a pattern, and we're continuing to, you know, inflict this pain on ourselves, this sabotage, and it becomes a pattern, and it is showing up again and again in our lives, and you know, and self-sabotage can manifest in so many different areas. It can happen with, you know, anything from exercise and you know, if you want to create an exercise regimen, to you know, to talking to a frenemy who you know doesn't make you feel good, and you talk to them right before you have a big exam, and you know that they're going to make you feel insecure and self-conscious, and you know, and then we recognize that we're actually we're doing that over and over and over again. And we can kind of take a step back and say, oh my goodness, wait, there's a pattern here. Like every time I'm going to take an exam, I, you know, talk to someone who I know is not going to make me feel good. And then I go in emotional and I mess up. You know, that's just an example.
Okay, great. And I thank you too for breaking that down and walking us through what that could look like of, you're not crazy, right? I was like, okay, this is happening again. My bank account's negative. I'm doing this. I'm in this relationship again. I'm with this type of friend again. And, you can know what role you play in that.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Great. Okay, moving on, next question, kind of building off of that. What are some practices that those who are watching can implement into their daily lives, weekly, monthly basis, maybe without giving away too much of your coaching skills, maybe like a little taste of what you offer, but what can they implement to their day-to-day to alleviate that, or at least, help identify that to make some change?
Absolutely. Yes. And that is a great question. So there's a few things that you can do. This is just a small list. I wrote a few items down before our meeting.
She's prepared, people. That's a big coach. She's ready.
Preparation, yes. Exactly. So, so one of the most basic things that we can do, and I would suggest using this in conjunction with other practices that really get to the root of your struggles with self-sabotage. But one of the things that I think we can always do is having a meditation practice built into our schedule. And this is one of those things that I used to always resist meditation. I really did not buy into it whatsoever until I actually started forcing myself to sit down and do it. And then now it's clear the benefits that it can cause and the benefits that it has on people. So I would say to use meditation as a means to calm down your nervous system, because that will make you less likely to self-sabotage or procrastinate and act in ways that are contrary to what we would actually like. So that's number one. I have 6 steps written down here. Number 2 is having a daily journaling practice. Either, you write down every day at the end of the day about, a few major things that happened that day. And you write down some of the major or minor triggers that happen throughout your day and really get to, as much as you can, to the root of those triggers. Oh, why did this bother me? Why did that bother me? And then also another thing that you can do when you're journaling is talk about where you self-sabotaged, or what you think happened when you didn't do so well on that exam, for example. And so to write it down, and that's just helpful so that you can always turn back to it and have a reference of, okay, these are the areas that I need to work on, and that will just help make your life better all in all, but also just identify where you're sabotaging. Number 3 is limiting your interactions with others that bring you down. And so this one, of course, it's not always preventable. Like, we go out into the world.
And your family members.
Absolutely. And it can be anyone, and they could have the best of intentions, but then still trigger something in us. And so just to kind of identifying, and I would even say take note, of those people as well. And even if you love them, or even if and just kind of note, like, okay, maybe I'm not going to talk to Sally Sue before I take on before I do a podcast interview, for example. And because I think a lot of the times what can happen is, as I mentioned previously, we'll find that we are seeking out maybe approval from someone who then makes us feel shattered and insecure and just not as good. And so just to kind of take note of the people that you feel really good after hanging out with versus you don't feel so good, and just setting those boundaries. Number 4 is taking ownership and responsibility for keeping ourselves in a good, for our mindset, and also for, and this one kind of goes in line with triggers, and kind of identifying, where it's an external factor that, okay, we can't really prevent this from happening. If we go out on the street and someone says that they don't like our shoes, or, for example, or, there's these external factors out of our control, mm-hmm. and, being able to discern that from, and those situations from, the ones that we're kind of repeatedly putting ourselves in, and notably before we have to do something, like, take an exam or work on a big project, and, what emotional state that will put us into. So I think, like, taking the personal responsibility and saying, okay, I'm going to really work on this for myself. I'm going to journal. I'm going to just really be mindful in my everyday interactions, and just, be able to identify and just kind of put forth that effort. And then number 5, taking small steps as opposed to big steps. So something I think what happens with a lot of people who, with anyone really, but self-sabotage, and this is a thing with perfectionists as well, is this all or nothing thinking, which can, cause us to want to take a giant step ahead and, go from 0 to 100 right away. And then we can get disappointed when we go from 0 to 100, or, we think we're going there and it backfires, and we find out, oh, okay, this is actually more than I can chew right now. And so I think, and also just from a comfort perspective of the upper limit problem, it's easier to kind of get used to every small step, as opposed to, jumping from, I'm going to go from step A to step F, and so that's kind of like going into a like a pool. This is my favorite example. But when we just jump in the pool, yes, there's an argument to be made that we will warm up after a few minutes. Some people like to do that, but just for this example's sake, we want to take one step in, and then another, and then we gradually expose ourselves, and then and increase our comfort levels to what's happening in our lives. So, and then the last one is, of course, finding a coach, finding someone who can kind of point a coach or a trusted friend, who you can turn to in these cases, and who you can really, really trust, and ask them to help you point out where you're self-sabotaging. Because I think a lot of the times what I've noticed is that it's self-conscious, it's self-conscious, it's subconscious. We can identify some of the more obvious ways that we're self-sabotaging, like procrastination and whatnot, but sometimes it's difficult to recognize some of the more deep-seated subconscious blocks that we're having that are then causing us to sabotage.
Okay, great. Oh, I love those 6 points. I'll keep those in mind. I'm so glad I can share those with everyone watching. Great. Okay, well, these 30 minutes are going by so fast. Oh my goodness. Time flies when you're having fun, as they say. So we might have to do a part 2. We'll see if we both have the time. I love speaking with you. Guys, let me know in the comments if you want to hear back from Hannah part 2. I think that'd be great. So let me have this be the final question before, we share contact information, all that jazz. So one, thank you again for your time and sharing those 6 points, especially. I feel like those watching can really take away with those after watching this video. But last question, why, in your personal opinion, professional, as you've been a coach doing this, do you think that the biggest hurdle, and most often the last hump that people have to get over when it comes to success, fulfilling their purpose, etc., is ourselves? Why are we our own worst enemy more often than not? Why do you think so?
Oh my goodness.
Is
Savannah, that
this the part two we need?
that is like the gold mine of all questions. I love it. There's so much there. There's so much there. My goodness. So
I'm sorry, I was pretty too much.
No, you're getting me all excited.
No, okay, so we'll have to do a part two then.
So we will have to do a part two. But one of the things that comes to mind is, it's usually, I think, let me start by, kind of where it can come from. I think a lot of the times it comes from, two things, like both like the identities that we're assigned or we assign to ourselves, and two is the environment that we are in growing up. And both in childhood, but also I've noticed that even if we're in another environment for an extended period of time, that can have an effect on ourselves and where we're self-sabotaging. And to put it simply, I think that it's all about comfort levels and feelings of safety. People want to be comfortable. It's a biological need to have safety and to be accepted by our peers. And, we'll limit ourselves unknowingly. And that's why it's so difficult sometimes when, we're trying to get to the next level, is because there's it comes down to not feeling safe and wanting to maintain that sense of safety and security.
Beautiful. Well said. and yeah, and I feel like when I was writing that question, I was like, this might get a little deep, but I would love to pick your brain on it. But well said and straight to the point too, which is great.
Oh, such a good question.
Yeah, no, we can go on and on about that.
Oh.
It's been so easy to go on and on about and talk to you. Again, thank you so much for your time. Before, I guess, the real last question, what's the best way for those to contact you, to inquire further, to get coaching of their own, etc.? Just share, all of that good stuff with everyone watching.
Absolutely. So you can go to, I have TikTok and I have Instagram. You can go to either of those social media handles. It's Hannah with 2 H's, Maria Barris, all one word. I'm on most of my videos are on TikTok, so you can always flip through those. And then I have a link in my bio in both places. So I have a free fear of success book in there, actually. So
okay,
you want to go?
Free? Did I hear that correctly?
It is free.
There you go.
Yes. And you can download that and already start on those journaling prompts. You can always feel free to contact me too, because I love talking to people about this.
Great. And do you have any courses coming up or anything in the summertime or something to like plug if you want to share? Just this is your time. Feel free.
Yes. In fact, I do. I have a membership. It is recently launched, and it is yes, thank you. So it is going to be all things fear of success and self-sabotage, self-esteem and confidence building, and procrastination. And there's also going to be an accountability component, and it's really, really exciting. So that is a brand new program that you can look for as well in my bio. And then of course I do offer one-on-one coaching as well, which you can apply for.
Perfect. Okay, great. That was awesome. And of course, all the information, her social media handles, and those links will be in the description box below. So at the end of this video, scroll down and check that out for more. Well, again, I feel like I'm saying this, I keep telling like a broken record, but really, really, Hannah, thank you so much for your time today. This has been such a pleasure. I love when you you see someone on social media, reach out, talk to them, and then you like talk to them. This is not, face to face, but face to face. So, in these days and age, post pandemic, and they really just surpass not even expectations, but just really are, a great person. So thank you so much.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Let me say the feeling is mutual. I know. I'm so happy that we did this. Thank you so much. And I want you on my podcast too.
Oh, likewise. Gladly. Awesome. And
Thank
yeah, we'll
you so
definitely have
much.
we'll do yours, and we'll do a part 2 on my channel as well. I think that'd be great.
Oh,
And to comment
fabulous.
down below, guys, what you want to see in that part 2. I'm sure the people would love to hear.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Savannah.
Likewise. So nice to meet you. Take care. I'll be in touch.
Take care. All right. Bye.
Bye.